Welcome to the 2011 season. We're in Monte Carlo. It's the 100th edition, the centenary, indeed, I should say. The world-famous rally started back in 1911. 100 years later, here we are with the IRC opener. Day one, made up of 4 stages, a total of 128.37 competitive kilometres. Some prisoners taken. Day 2, 4 challenging stages totaling 94.36, and finally the rally climaxing with the ultimate, the night stages in the Col de Torini. We cannot wait. Welcome to the Monte Carlo then. 120 crews starting out on this epic challenge. 300 applied to take part. And they had to whittle them down good and proper. Those that did make it into this magnificent event, the centenary, as we've said, delighted to be here. Some massive names as well, and as a result they drew the crowds in to Valence. Destination, of course, Monaco. Some legendary names making up what is a very, very high quality field for this one. Incredible entry list indeed. Big names: Johan and Peter Solberg, Francois Delacour, Stefan Salazar, Formula 1 former driver Alex Cappi, and Piggy Anderson, of course. Crews here to do battle. Only the top 60, don't forget, will make it through to the Col de Torini. Who will it be? Valence, a major part of the Monte for such a long time. Their mayor is Alain Maurice. Valence is very well situated geographically in the city, become the centre of the Monte Carlo. Very specifically demanding and selective special stages all around the mountain ranges which surround us, and a lot of places that are fully part of the legend. And for us, being part of this very prestigious and famous event is an absolute honour. The legend of the Monte Carlo is really the fruit of a real love story between rallying and the Drôme and Ardèche regions. And of course we're bang in the middle of all of that. 11 o'clock this morning, the Serene Highness Prince Albert II popped in. Yes, royalty at hand, and a very special unveiling as well. A plaque celebrating the partnership between this area and, of course, the Monte Carlo on its 100th anniversary. Suitably attired in some chilly conditions, which were starting to give us a few collywobbles out there. Delighted to be here though, and acknowledging the part that this region plays. The rally comes to the Ardèche and Drôme, has been doing it for 40 years, since 1968 in fact, and the Automobile Club had to find some solutions to new routes and that kind of thing. We're avoiding the Savoie because of the Olympic Games at the time, and yeah, it's now become a tradition. We have to come to this part of the world. It's part of the most beautiful pages of the Dakar. The Monte Carlo have been turned here in its history. He says, yes, a very deep partnership between the rally and the Principality of Monte Carlo and these two regions.
Une grande amitié, une grande histoire qui lie cette région, l'Ardèche et la Drôme, à la Principauté de Monaco et donc au rallye de Monte Carlo.
Big supporters and recognised as such. Well, 10 kilometres from the Val-les-Bains stands the Atrége, a small village with a big history. It's all around a restaurant called Le Remise and a certain apple pie. Yeah, says Prince Albert II. The restaurant of Joigny family has made a major contribution to the Monte Carlo rally. It's all part of the ambience, in fact. Yves Joigny and his family have always been very welcoming, and over the years it's become a tradition for them to hand out to drivers and co-drivers their very, very special apple pie. Yes, it really is a must visit for any Monte Carlo rally fans. And of course the drivers always looking forward to it. In fact, some of them mentioned it on today's stage as being possibly the highlight of their day after some rough housing out there on the roads. So for more than 40 years they have been part of the atmosphere, if you like. As is the father, Albert started the tradition in the 1970s. Yves and Yvette Joigny have every year given apple pie and a glass of water to the drivers and co-drivers. Apparently this evening there's a bit of nutmeg and some sultanas in there, along with big chunky bits of apple. Very nice indeed. And after the ardours of the stages, why not? Only a few minutes before the start of the legendary rally, and some nervous moments for everyone out there. The man opening the stages, Guy Wilkes. They decided to reverse the seeded top 10, and as a result it fell upon a Brit's shoulders to do the business out there. And to be fair, it was a bit of a challenge. A newly resurfaced area, light tarmac spray and then gravel surface on the top. It's supposed to be a tarmac rally this. Well, Guy took it nice and steadily and did not get caught out, and that was the main drive and his main aim. Yes, experience coming through. In fact, Guy posting the third quickest stage time on the opener here, which was remarkable for him. Well done, fella.
Andreas Mikkelsen, unfortunately, not such a great start to his rally Monte Carlo. It lasted around 30 seconds. We had a chat with him later on in the day, but as you'll see, tyres were cold. Big moment. Bent the rear end of the car. It did, but they could do nothing with the car. They struggled to change the wheel. The suspension was broken. They had some parts on board, but not the parts they needed. End of his day, end of his rally.
Absolutely, a real shame. Stefan Sarazan picked it up, didn't he? Good and proper. In fact, he came out here, Andrew, and we thought, where did that time come from? We didn't trust it at first, did we?
No, we didn't. First fastest time, 20 seconds quicker than anyone else until somebody else comes through later in the field, as you'll see. But Sarazan, absolutely stunning form on this first stage. He chose the right tyres and he was on a mission.
Nico Rios had a front right puncture. There was a few that really came unstuck. Thierry Neuville was out. Chris Anderson had electrical issues with his Proton. Front right for Rios really hobbled him, and it kind of affected his confidence, didn't it, for the rest of the day?
It did. He's been out in the car for a long time. He's an expert downhill mountain bike racer, and he's stayed fit. He's had 3 tests with Skoda, but certainly this wasn't a great motivation for the rest of the rally to lose so much time on stage 1.
Yeah, you can see just how much gravel was actually cast onto the grass banking there. Some great names here, and one of those you'd be unsurprised to find Mr. Delacour.
Francois Delacour, my favourite French tarmac driver. Maximum attack all day long. Said at the end of the day the car's been quite loose, and that gave us some spectacular pictures.
Yeah, it did. He was running well though early on, 7th quickest, but 35 seconds down on Sarazan, who took the opening stage. Freddie Loix, 5th quickest, 24 seconds off the pace in the opening stage. Looked to have started to settle himself in beautifully. Don't forget, he came and sort of did a mugging job on the IRC last year. He's got another selective run this year, 7 tarmac rallies, and really looked at home.
Yeah, the programme's been announced. He's doing Monte Carlo, he will be doing Corsica and San Remo, so he's on all the tarmac classics. Expect him to be a threat.
Ryan Bouffier, French rally champion, also somebody expected to settle in very quickly, and he did so, just 20 seconds down. In fact, he was very close to Guy Wilkes' time, almost exactly the same time, in fact. 4th quickest then on the opening stage, and Bouffier opening his account rather well for a young man.
Kopecky was somebody that everybody had forgotten about. Skoda's tarmac expert with so many big names here this weekend. People weren't quite sure what to expect of him. On the first stage, 8th fastest plus 36 seconds, and not really the start he was looking for.
No, he certainly didn't come out of the box with all guns blazing. Runner-up, of course, in the season 2009 and 2010. But look at the names who are ahead of him, still to come. Peder Solberg, one of those. Now, Peder didn't have the kindest run, but it was tyre issues for him and getting used to the vehicle, a much lighter machine, and he wasn't that happy, it seems, with the gear changes. More sequential in his head, I think.
Yeah, I think he really is into his paddle shift now. He doesn't like all the effort that you need with a sequential gearbox, but he was slowly edging his way into the car for the start of the day.
Yeah, but how about this? Well, if we had disbelief about Stefan Sarazan, we finally did have faith once Johanan came across the line, just 0.06 of a second, and all of a sudden we knew that these two guys had really done something special out there.
Hannanen stunned the field with that one, didn't he, Carlton? No one was expecting of all the Skodas that he would be the one to challenge the might of Peugeot.
Well, during this rally, we're going to be following the progress of 3 kind of club drivers, if you like. Yes, a world champion as a co-driver 7 times, but Daniel Elena, a Monegasque, driving a Citroën N100 to celebrate the 100th anniversary. And why not? I didn't prepare at all for this one. First time I did the Monte Carlo. It was as a driver in '97, and yeah, it came here to prove something, just for fun. But also, it's a human story. I'm not just a co-driver. I want to be out there and showing what I can do, and you'll see me on the harbour in a couple of days. 20 rallies under his belt. Tony Jardine is a UK journalist, but behind the wheel he also enjoys life as an amateur competitor, if you like. It's his first Monte Carlo.
A huge adventure, because to do the Monte Carlo rally for the very first time for me is something I've always wanted to do, and it's about to start, and it's nervous anticipation of such a fantastic event.
Well, Emmanuel Villa winning 2 events in the 2009 IRC season with 2-wheel drive Punto S1600. The Italian is back with the 500. We created a team, he says, 5 Cinquecento for the Monte Carlo. We've been working for 6 months on the project, and it's becoming a reality. And here it is, he says. Well, why don't you stay with us and find out what happens over the next few stages. We'll be following these club races, I think it's fair to call them. We'll take that break, and then we will tell you the rest of the day's story. The opening day, indeed, of Monte Carlo 2011. Back in a moment. It really was a disastrous start for Andreas Mikkelsen. Look at that, coming home on the spokes. His rally over before it almost started. Yeah, just got a couple of 100 meters, that was it.
Tires was the problem. We warmed the tires very good up before the first stage, and standing there for 3 minutes, and of course it's cold outside, so the tires were completely cold again after that. So big shame, but I would never imagine the tires being so warm and so cold in only 3 minutes. So basically the first proper right-hand corner, which was quite twisty, the car just slid out, so no chance.
21 years of age, he will be back. He's got a long career ahead of him. So we went to special stage 2, and a thriller. Guy Wilkes once again just opening proceedings and getting to grips with his new Peugeot. Don't forget, he's had a long and considered, let's say, entree to this machine, whether it be with Philip Pugh alongside him or with Xavier Panseri. And in his hands, this machine is starting to look extremely solid indeed. 5th quickest on the stage, dropping to 5th place in the rankings after special stage 2.
Stefan Sarazan, after that stunning performance on the first stage, of course, where he was 20 seconds clear with Hannanen. On the second stage, he loses 35 seconds. Not a great run at all. Wrong tyres, he didn't really have an excuse for it, but he couldn't do the time he'd done on the first one. Yeah, and then we started to look further around the order, and we found Freddie Loix, of course, who vaulted into 3rd place with a stunning performance here. 17.9 down on the stage winner at the end of the day, and it had to be, of course, Hannanen and Peder Solberg ahead of him. Incidentally, Henning Solberg went off with an accident after having an awful opening stage in this one, and then a wheel came off Peggy Anderson's Proton, just to add to the list of those taking no further part. Brian Bouffier, another driver to admit to choosing the wrong tyres for stages 2 and 3. They'd gone for soft, expecting it to be wet, and it wasn't.
Yeah, Kopetsky tried to pick it up again, but did better, in fact 50% better, finished 4th on this stage, moved himself to 7th overall, but 2 longish gaps, I've got to say. It's 28.9 in the second and 36 down in the first, put him 1 minute and 4 off the pace, so it just left all eyes on Hollywood.
Indeed, former World Rally champion in his Peugeot France 207. It's the test car. It's absolutely latest spec. Not such a great run on stage 1, but on stage 2, only 15 seconds behind. And Hollywood had arrived in the IRC.
Absolutely. Yeah, second quickest, 15.1 down on an absolute train, which happens to be Juho Hannanen. He looked like he was on rails out there. Solberg said it was a bit of a handful and admitted to mistakes just off camera in the woodland area. But Hannanen, he just had something special today. He had the confidence, and he's just quoting unbelievably, isn't he?
He is. He's quoting like Tommy Mäkinen, another Monte Carlo legend. Hannanen definitely had a A touch of the Mackinnon in him today. At the end of the stages, he just looked so comfortable in the car, unstoppable.
Yes, absolutely unstoppable. And in fact, at the only two stages he lost by less than 1 second, and he won two in such dominant fashion that at the end of the second stage he had an enormous gap overall. There is the movements. That's how they stood. 35 seconds to Sarrazin. Loinks 41 down.